Welcome back to Science in Sleeping. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Maybe you've been here before, finding comfort in these long, slow journeys. Or maybe this is your very first time, your very first night, drifting with us beneath the stars. Either way, you're in the right place. This space is just for you. A place where science and story intertwine, where learning becomes gentle, and where the night opens up into endless possibility. Tonight, we're setting sail far beyond our earthly home. We'll be voyaging into the deep, wide ocean of space, into the quiet realms where stars are born, where light travels for billions of years, and where mysteries patiently wait for us to notice them. But you don't need to worry about keeping track. This is not a test. There are no grades here. You don't need to remember any of it in the morning. In fact, it's perfectly fine if you drift away halfway through. That is, after all, the gentle purpose of this entire journey. I know that if you're listening now, it's probably late where you are. Maybe it's 9 in the evening, and you're just settling into bed. Or maybe it's much later, maybe midnight, maybe even 2 in the morning, somewhere across the world. Someone else is pressing play at this very same moment. Together, you're part of this quiet, invisible community. A group of dreamers and learners scattered across the globe, different lives, different time zones, but connected in this shared desire, the desire to find rest, and maybe a little wonder along the way. I'd love to know where you're watching from. What part of the world is holding you tonight? Maybe you're in a city, with lights still glowing outside your window, or in the countryside, where the darkness feels fuller and the stars might peek through. Wherever you are, you're not alone in this, even if it feels like the night is silent and still. Right now, thousands of people are lying back, breathing slowly, just as you are, finding calm in these words. And that is something quietly beautiful to remember. So let's give ourselves permission to slow down, to stop carrying the weight of the day. You don't have to solve any problems right now. You don't have to make any plans, not for work, not for tomorrow, not for anyone. This is your time to drift, to let go, to simply exist in the safe rhythm of voice and imagination. If your mind is racing, if thoughts are swirling too fast, let them be. You don't have to fight them. Just imagine them as tiny stars drifting across the night sky. You can watch them from a distance, notice them, but you don't have to chase after them. They'll move on, and more will come. And all the while, you can simply breathe in and out, slow and steady, like the gentle pull of a tide, like the slow orbit of a planet circling its sun. And as we begin our voyage tonight, let's remember this: we are travelers, not in a rush, not in a race, but travelers moving softly. We are here to explore, to wonder, to imagine, but also to rest. The universe will wait for us. The stars have been here for billions of years. They are in no hurry, and neither are we. So settle in, get comfortable, find your pillow. Let your body grow heavier against the bed. Feel the blanket rest over you. Feel the way the mattress holds you, supporting every part of you. Let your hands and feet relax. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyes soften. Even if they remain half open, you don't need to do anything more. Just let yourself be here, safe, calm, unhurried, ready to drift gently beyond the stars. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to leave Earth behind completely, to drift slowly upward past the clouds, past the blue of the sky, until you found yourself surrounded only by stars. It is something most of us will never truly experience in our lifetime, and yet the thought itself carries a quiet weight, a kind of mystery that is both exciting and calming. That curiosity, that gentle wondering, is where we begin tonight. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a still lake on a clear night. The water is dark, almost mirror-like, reflecting the faint shimmer of distant constellations. You tilt your head upward, and the night sky expands above you, endless and deep. There is no rush, no sound of engines, no crowd, just you and the vast expanse. In that silence, you can feel how small the Earth truly is, and how immense the cosmos must be. The scene is still, and yet, within that stillness, whole galaxies are spinning. When we think about space, it's easy to imagine it as empty, as a vacuum, but in truth, it is filled with wonders. It is a place where stars are born from immense clouds of dust and gas, places called nebulae. These regions are like cosmic nurseries, where gravity gathers invisible threads until they ignite with light. Did you know that the very atoms in your body, the carbon in your cells, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, were once forged in the fiery hearts of stars, long ago, before Earth even existed? Those atoms were scattered across space, waiting to become part of you. And so, when you breathe in, when your heart beats, you are carrying a little piece of the cosmos inside you. It's not just poetry, it's science. The universe is not somewhere out there far away. You are living proof of its story. You are star matter that has learned to dream. Think about how long light travels to reach us. Some of the stars you see above the lake may already have burned out, yet their light still streams toward Earth. Imagine the patience of that journey. Light that began its voyage before the first humans walked the land is only now arriving to touch your eyes. It is as if the universe itself is whispering across time, reminding you that everything endures in some form, and what comfort there is in that thought, that nothing is truly lost, that all things transform. The stars that ended in brilliant supernovas became the seeds of life. The quiet lake you are imagining now exists because countless generations of stars lived and died to shape it. To know this is to know that endings are not really endings, but beginnings in disguise. So as you breathe deeply, lying back now, let that awareness soften you. You don't need to hold on tightly to every thought or worry. They too, like stars, will fade and transform into something else. You are part of this same rhythm, a rhythm of cycles, of change, of renewal. And as we prepare to move deeper, beyond the familiar constellations and toward the strange realms where galaxies gather like cities of light, carry with you the feeling of that quiet lake, the reflection of stars, and the knowledge that you are already woven into the vast story of the cosmos. Have you ever wondered what true silence sounds like? Not the quiet of a late-night street when traffic has died down, not the hush of a library, not even the stillness of the countryside at dawn, but the silence that exists between the stars. It is a silence so complete that it almost feels alive, a silence vast enough to swallow every sound you have ever known. Imagine standing in that silence. Imagine hearing nothing at all, Not even the sound of your own heartbeat, only the steady hum of existence itself. Picture yourself floating now, further away from Earth. Your home planet is shrinking behind you, becoming no more than a blue marble suspended in black. The clouds that once seemed so large are just faint swirls of white. The continents you know so well are no longer clear, and soon even the outlines blur. You are drifting slowly, weightless, carried as if by an unseen tide. The stars surround you, brighter here than they ever appear from the ground, and the air, or rather, the absence of it, is utterly still. There is no wind, no echo, only a vast, unbroken quiet. But space, for all its stillness, is not empty. It is alive with secrets. Every square inch contains invisible particles, silent messengers of creation. The silence is filled with radiation, with cosmic rays that stream endlessly across the void, with faint ripples of energy left over from the very beginning of time itself. Did you know that every time your television loses its signal and shows static, a tiny fraction of that static comes from the oldest light in the universe, the cosmic microwave background, born just after the Big Bang? That noise, faint as it is a whisper from nearly 14 billion years ago. And so, even the silence is not truly silent. It carries memory, it carries time, it carries the residue of beginnings that no human could ever have witnessed. Imagine drifting through that silence, knowing that every particle brushing against you may have traveled across the galaxy. It may have begun its journey before our sun was even born, and only now has it reached you. The suspense of space lies in what it hides. Astronomers call it the great cosmic dark, not darkness as in night, but darkness as in mystery, as in the unknown. For all that we can see with telescopes, for all the beauty of galaxies and nebulae, we are still blind to most of what exists. 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter and dark energy, invisible to the eye, untouched by the hand. We know it is there because of the way galaxies move, because of the way space itself stretches, and yet no one knows exactly what it is. Think about that for a moment. Nearly everything around you, nearly everything that makes the universe whole, is unseen. You are living in a world where the visible, the tangible, is only a sliver of the whole. It is like walking through a vast cathedral with only a candle to guide you. You see a few arches, a few carvings, but the rest is hidden in shadows, waiting. And in those shadows lies the story of existence itself. And yet, there is no fear here. The mystery does not threaten you. Instead, it invites you. It says, "Come closer, look deeper, wonder more." It reminds you that the universe is not finished speaking, that it has more stories to tell than we can imagine. And in that invitation there is comfort, because it means you do not have to have every answer tonight, or tomorrow, or in your lifetime. You can simply rest in the beauty of not knowing. Imagine yourself now passing through a field of stars, each one shining, each one carrying its own tale. Some are young, burning, hot and blue, restless with energy. Others are old, glowing faintly red, nearing the quiet end of their lives. Some exist in pairs, orbiting each other in a cosmic dance. Some may even harbor planets, small worlds circling unseen, waiting to be discovered. The silence between them feels heavy, but the light they give is gentle, a reminder that even in the vast emptiness, there is warmth, there is connection, and then, as you drift further, you come upon something stranger still, a void, a region of space so empty that it seems as if existence itself has stepped aside. These cosmic voids are enormous, stretching for hundreds of millions of light years. Imagine floating at the center of such a place, galaxies faint and far at the edges, and nothing in between, nothing to catch your eye, nothing to hold your attention, only the purest silence, the deepest absence, and yet, even there, particles move, radiation hums, and the story of the cosmos continues. There is suspense in knowing that the universe is not only vast, but layered. Some truths are hidden beneath others. Some patterns we can sense only faintly, like distant echoes, but slowly we learn, slowly. Humanity pieces together fragments. Like dreamers awakening, we reach out into the dark, carrying our fragile candlelight, guided not by certainty, but by wonder. And so tonight, as you lie here listening, allow yourself to rest in that same wonder. You don't need to solve the riddle of dark matter. You don't need to hear every note of silence. It is enough to know that you are part of this mystery, that your very atoms are participants in this great and ongoing suspense. Let your breath slow as you imagine drifting through the stillness. Let your body grow heavier as the silence expands around you. The universe is vast enough to hold every worry you've carried, vast enough to absorb them until they dissolve. You are safe in its arms. You are small, yes, but you are also infinite, written into its story. And now, gently, we will move forward again, deeper into the galaxy, toward the swirling arms of the Milky Way, where billions of suns blaze together like a cosmic city. Let's leave the silence behind for now and step into the music of starlight. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to live inside a galaxy? To know that every night sky you've ever gazed upon is not simply a backdrop, but the inside walls of an enormous, spiraling city made of stars. You have always been within it. Though the scale is so vast, it's easy to forget. The Milky Way is not out there, beyond us. It is the neighborhood you have lived in all along. Imagine now that you are drifting forward from the silence of the void. Slowly, the blackness gives way to faint glimmers, then more and more still, until the darkness begins to glow. At first, it is like seeing fireflies scattered in a summer field. But then it grows denser, brighter, until it becomes clear you are entering something immense. The spiraling arms of our home galaxy. Picture the Milky Way as a great cosmic city. Its roads are rivers of starlight. Its towers are clusters of suns. Its markets and gardens are nebulae where stars are being born. More than 400 billion stars reside here, and each of them may have worlds of their own. Imagine walking through a city so large that even in a lifetime you could never cross it. Imagine standing in the heart of it, unable to see the end in any direction. That is what it means to live inside the Milky Way. And yet, we can only glimpse a fraction of it from Earth. When you look up at the night sky and see that faint, cloudy streak stretching overhead, that soft brush of white, you are gazing into your galaxy's central lanes. You are seeing millions of stars blurred together, too distant to shine individually. It is not a cloud at all, but a river of light. Did you know that the Milky Way is over 100,000 light-years across? If you could travel at the speed of light, faster than anything we know, it would still take 100,000 years just to cross from one end to the other. Think of that distance. Think of the patience of a galaxy, moving, shifting, forming and reforming over billions of years, while our own lives are but flickers in comparison. There is suspense in knowing that we are not alone in this spiral. Scattered throughout its arms are stars older than our sun, stars with planets that may carry their own mysteries. Some of those planets could harbor oceans, clouds, or even life, perhaps right now. Somewhere in another arm of this very galaxy, a being is looking up into its own night sky, wondering the same things you are, feeling the same awe, and yet, for now, we are separated by such enormous distances that our lights cannot touch. The Milky Way is also alive with darker wonders. At its very heart, hidden behind dense curtains of dust and gas, there lies something far stranger, a supermassive black hole known as Sagittarius A*, millions of times heavier than our sun, yet invisible. It pulls with such strength that not even light can escape. Imagine drifting closer to the center, feeling the stars whip around you in tight orbits. Caught in that unseen grip, it is both terrifying and beautiful. The galaxy is held together by this secret, an anchor of gravity at its core. And yet, you are safe where you are. Your little blue planet spins far from the center. On a calm suburban lane of this galactic city, it is as if you live in a quiet neighborhood, far from the bustling downtown of stars, protected from the chaos at the heart. It is this gentle distance that has allowed Earth to remain stable long enough for life to flourish. Now, imagine drifting through a spiral arm, passing enormous nebulae. These are the nurseries, where stars are still being born, clouds of hydrogen so vast that light takes hundreds of years to cross them. Inside, gravity pulls particles together until they ignite. Newborn stars glowing like candles in a fog. Some will live long, steady lives. Others will burn too quickly and end in brilliant supernovas. Did you know that every supernova leaves behind more than light? It scatters the heavy elements, oxygen, carbon, gold, iron, the very building blocks of planets, of oceans, of life itself. So when you pass through these stellar nurseries, remember that they are not just birthing stars. They are creating the future. They are weaving the matter of tomorrow's worlds, perhaps even the matter of someone's heartbeat. Billions of years from now, suspense lies too in what we cannot see. For beyond the glow of ordinary stars are hidden wanderers, rogue planets drifting without suns, black dwarfs cooling into invisibility, pulsars spinning like cosmic lighthouses with beams of radiation sweeping the dark. Imagine drifting close enough to hear the rhythm of a pulsar. Tick, 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 faster than any clock, a steady beat marking the passage of cosmic time. These strange bodies remind us that galaxies are not only about beauty, but about transformation, death, and rebirth written on an infinite scale. And what does this mean for you, lying here tonight, breathing slowly as you listen? It means that you are part of something vast, a city you have never left, a home so large it feels infinite. You are a resident of the Milky Way, and its story is your story. The atoms in your body came from stars in this galaxy. Your every thought is powered by a sun that is just one among billions. And someday, when your atoms return to the cosmos, they too will become part of this spiral, woven back into its endless pattern. So let this thought ease you. You are not wandering aimlessly in the dark. You are nestled within an ancient home, surrounded by countless lights. The galaxy does not rush. It does not worry. It simply turns, slowly, steadily, like a wheel of time. And you, tonight, can let go of rushing too. You can rest in the rhythm of the Milky Way, secure in its arms. And now, as we prepare to drift further, let us follow the spiral outward, past the stars and nebulae, past the familiar arms of our galaxy. For beyond the Milky Way lies an even greater gathering, whole clusters of galaxies bound together, cosmic cities within cosmic nations. Let us drift there now, deeper into the ocean of universes, carried onward by wonder. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the edge of our galaxy? Beyond the spiral arms of the Milky Way? Beyond the faintest scattering of its stars? The answer is not more emptiness, not only silence, but a congregation, a gathering of cosmic giants. The Milky Way, for all its vastness, is only one member of a much larger family, and tonight, we drift outward to see that family with new eyes. Picture yourself leaving the spiral city of starlight behind. The river of the Milky Way grows fainter, until it is no more than a shining arch across the distance. Like a bridge you once crossed, you can still see it glowing softly. But now you are beyond it. Ahead of you, new shapes emerge. Other galaxies, each with its own story, each glowing with billions of stars. Imagine entire realms, each the size of your home galaxy, drifting quietly like lanterns on a black ocean. Our galaxy belongs to a small cluster known as the local group. Think of it as a neighborhood with a few dozen galaxies as its residents. The Andromeda galaxy is the largest, a magnificent spiral twice the size of the Milky Way. Did you know that Andromeda is moving toward us, slowly but steadily? Across the unimaginable span of 4 billion years, it will merge with our own galaxy. For now, though, it hangs ahead, luminous and serene, its spiral arms like wings outstretched. Imagine the suspense of knowing that galaxies themselves are travelers. Not fixed, they drift and collide, pulled together by gravity. Imagine two great spirals merging, their stars swirling into new patterns, their black holes entwining at the core. It sounds violent, and yet, on the scale of stars, it is graceful. Most stars pass by without colliding, like dancers in an endless waltz. The suspense is in the scale, in the patience of it all. And then, consider this. Beyond the local group, larger gatherings exist. Our little cluster is itself part of a vast supercluster called Laniakea, a Hawaiian word meaning immense heaven. Within Laniakea are 100,000 galaxies, bound together in invisible threads of gravity. Imagine standing on the edge of this supercluster, looking out, and realizing that what you thought was the entire universe is only one patch, one filament in a web too large to comprehend. Scientists call this the cosmic web, an immense network of filaments made of galaxies, stretched like strands of light across the universe. Between them are great voids, empty expanses where almost nothing resides. Imagine the suspense of wandering across that web, Light years upon light years of travel, crossing bridges of galaxies, then entering voids so vast they could swallow thousands of Milky Ways. And yet, even here, in this incomprehensible scale, you can feel a kind of rhythm, a sense of belonging. The galaxies cluster, not randomly, but in patterns, like cities and villages on a map. The web resembles neurons in a brain, filaments of light connecting like synapses. Did you know that the structure of the universe, when mapped, looks strikingly similar to the structure of the human mind? The cosmos above and the cosmos within are mirrors. Think of the suspense in that reflection. The universe is not chaotic, but patterned. The same rules that govern a cell seem to echo in the arrangement of galaxies. What does it mean that the largest structures in existence resemble the smallest? Perhaps it is a reminder that everything is connected. Perhaps it is a whisper that we are not apart from the universe, but expressions of it. Now imagine drifting deeper into a galaxy cluster, a place where hundreds or even thousands of galaxies are bound together, their combined gravity pulling them into orbits around a shared center. Some are spirals, bright with arms, others are vast, glowing clouds of stars without structure. The cluster is a cosmic metropolis, galaxies crowding close, moving in vast, slow currents. If the Milky Way felt like a city, this is an empire. And at the heart of many of these clusters lies a hidden presence. Giant black holes, even larger than the one at our galaxy's core. Their pull keeps the cluster together. Though they are invisible, their influence is immense, suspending billions of suns in their orbit. Imagine the suspense of drifting toward such a center, the light warping, the stars bending as space itself curves around the unseen. Yet, despite this grandeur, there is still quiet. There are still vast distances between the galaxies. Millions of light years of darkness stretch between them. Space is not crowded but patient, always leaving room for silence, always leaving room for stillness as you breathe now, lying in your bed. You too are part of this cluster. Your atoms, your body, your heartbeat, they belong to the same web. You are not watching from outside, you are within it, a small but inseparable node in the great design. You are the universe contemplating itself, listening to its own story whispered back in the language of stars. So let yourself relax into that thought. The suspense of space does not need to disturb you, it can cradle you instead. A reminder that the mysteries will unfold in their own time, that you need not rush to find answers. For tonight, it is enough to imagine, enough to drift, enough to wonder. And now, gently, let us prepare to move again. Beyond the clusters, beyond the web, beyond the light we can see. For there are even deeper mysteries waiting, dark energy. The force that stretches the universe itself, pulling galaxies apart, slowly, silently, endlessly. Let us step into that mystery next, guided by curiosity, carried by calm. Have you ever wondered if the universe itself is breathing, expanding and stretching in a rhythm too vast for us to feel? Imagine for a moment that everything around you, every galaxy, every cluster, every filament of the cosmic web is slowly drifting apart. Not because of chance, but because of something unseen. Something we can measure but not yet understand. This unseen force is called dark energy, and it is one of the greatest mysteries of our time. Picture yourself floating between galaxies, At first, you see them as lanterns in the dark, beautiful, steady, seemingly eternal. But then, with patience, you notice a pattern. They are not fixed, not still, but drifting slowly away from one another, like ships on a vast ocean, carried not by waves, but by the swelling of the ocean itself. The space between them grows, gently, steadily, endlessly. This expansion was first discovered almost by accident in the early 20th century. Astronomer Edwin Hubble noticed that galaxies were not static. The farther away a galaxy was, the faster it seemed to be receding from us. It was as if the universe itself was stretching, the fabric of reality pulling everything outward. At first, scientists thought that gravity, the great binder, might eventually slow this expansion, perhaps even reverse it. But what they found later was far more mysterious. The expansion is not slowing, it is accelerating. Imagine the suspense of that realization. The universe is not coasting to a quiet stop. It is racing outward, faster and faster. Something unseen is driving this expansion. A force that acts not on objects themselves, but on the very fabric of space-time. This something is what we call dark energy, and yet, no one knows exactly what dark energy is. We can measure its effects, but its nature remains hidden. Some describe it as a property of space itself, a kind of pressure that pushes galaxies apart. Others imagine it as an undiscovered energy field, still waiting for its name. All we know is that it accounts for nearly 70% of the universe, 70% of everything unseen and untouchable. Think of the suspense in that number. Most of what exists is not made of stars, not made of matter, not even made of dark matter. It is dark energy, invisible and silent, shaping the universe without revealing itself. It is like standing in a room where the furniture moves on its own, knowing something is causing it, but never seeing the mover. Now, imagine drifting through this expansion. Imagine galaxies sliding away from you, not because they are moving, but because the fabric between you is stretching, like dots painted on a balloon as it inflates. The dots are not moving themselves, but the space between them grows. You are part of that expansion too, right now, this very second. The atoms in your body are part of a universe that is stretching wider with every heartbeat. Did you know that in the far future, if this expansion continues, distant galaxies will slip beyond our horizon of sight? Their light will stretch so thin that it will no longer reach us. The universe will seem emptier, lonelier, though it will still be full. Imagine a time when only our galaxy remains visible, and the rest have vanished into the unreachable dark. That future is billions of years away, and yet the thought carries a quiet suspense, a reminder that even the night sky we know is not permanent. And yet there is comfort here, too. For now, you can look up and still see the lights. For now, the galaxies still shine. For now, the mystery remains open, waiting for us to listen, waiting for us to wonder. And in that waiting, there is no rush. The universe has time, and so do you. Poets and scientists alike have described dark energy as the breath of the cosmos, a slow, invisible exhalation that carries galaxies further apart. It is as if the universe is sighing, expanding gently outward, an endless inhalation and release. And you, lying here tonight, are part of that breath. Your lungs rise and fall. Your body expands and contracts with air, a smaller echo of what the universe itself is doing. Think of that connection, the macro and the micro, the galaxies and your chest, the expansion of space and the rhythm of your own breath. Both are gentle, both are steady, both are life, and yet suspense lingers. For we do not know the destiny of this expansion. Will it continue forever, growing faster and faster until galaxies tear apart? Will it slow someday, balanced by forces we do not yet see? Or will it lead to something stranger still, a fate no one has yet imagined? The truth is hidden, and perhaps will remain so for generations. But that is part of the wonder. The universe does not surrender its secrets all at once. It whispers them slowly, one discovery at a time. And so tonight, let yourself rest in that whisper. You do not need to solve the riddle of dark energy. You do not need to chase answers. Instead, let the mystery cradle you. Let it remind you that you, too, are carried gently, steadily, through the currents of the unknown. You do not float alone. You float with galaxies, with stars, with the breath of the cosmos itself. So as you close your eyes, imagine that expansion as a tide, carrying you softly outward. The worries of the day grow smaller, more distant, like galaxies receding. The more you let go, the lighter you become. The more you drift, the calmer you feel. You are safe in this tide, safe in this endless breath. And now, let us drift further, beyond the known galaxies, beyond the measurable expansion, into the deepest mystery of all. The question of origins, the question of beginnings. The whisper of the Big Bang still echoes in the silence, and it waits for us next. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stand at the very beginning of time? To witness the very first spark of existence? To feel the silence of nothing give way to the roar of everything? That moment, wrapped in mystery and awe, is what we call the Big Bang. And yet, despite the name, it was not a bang like fireworks or thunder. It was more like the sudden unfolding of a hidden fabric, the birth of space and time itself. Close your eyes for a moment and picture it. Not stars, not galaxies, not even particles. At first, there was only energy, compressed beyond imagination, a point smaller than a grain of sand. And then, in less than the blink of an eye, it expanded. It did not expand into empty space. It created space itself as it grew. Time itself began in that instant. There was no before to look back on, for the very concept of before was born in that first expansion. The suspense of it is staggering. All that would ever exist, every planet, every star, every atom in your body, was once contained in that primordial seed. Imagine holding the entire cosmos in your hand, a point so dense and hot that the laws of physics, as we know them, could barely describe it. And then, without warning, it released. It swelled outward, a fountain of creation, not into silence, but into being. As the universe expanded, it cooled. From searing energy came particles. From particles came atoms. Slowly, hydrogen and helium emerged, the simplest elements, the building blocks of all matter. Yet in those first moments, it was still too hot for light to travel freely. Imagine a fog so thick that light itself is trapped, bouncing endlessly, unable to escape. That was the newborn universe, brilliant but hidden, radiant but veiled, for hundreds of thousands of years. This fog held a universe filled with light, but cloaked in its own density. Then, as the cosmos cooled further, something breathtaking occurred. Atoms finally stabilized, the fog lifted, and light was free to travel. This was the first light, the cosmic dawn, and, astonishingly, that ancient light still travels today. It has stretched across billions of years, and we can still detect its whisper, the faint glow known as the cosmic microwave background. Imagine the suspense of discovering that whisper in the mid-20th century. Two scientists, Arno Penzias, were working with a radio antenna. They kept hearing a faint, persistent hiss, a background noise they could not explain. At first, they thought it was interference, maybe even pigeons nesting in the equipment. But no, it was something far greater. What they had stumbled upon was the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. A message from the birth of time. Think of that, the very first light, born nearly 14 billion years ago, still cradles the universe in its glow. And if you could see it with your eyes, the entire sky would be softly aglow, not with stars, but with that ancient radiance. You are, even now, bathed in the memory of creation. You are touched by the same light that first broke free when the fog lifted. Now pause and imagine yourself drifting back into that moment. You are surrounded by a universe that has only just become transparent. The glow is everywhere, filling the sky evenly, a perfect stillness of light. You float in wonder, knowing you are witnessing the first chapter of cosmic history. The silence is vast, but it is not empty, for hidden within those simple atoms lies the promise of everything to come: stars, galaxies, life. And did you know that without the tiny ripples in that first light, none of this would exist? Those faint irregularities, those almost invisible fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background, were the seeds of galaxies. They were the fingerprints of structure, small imbalances that gravity could amplify. Without them, the universe would have remained a featureless fog, smooth and lifeless. Instead, those tiny ripples grew into clusters of galaxies, into the vast cosmic web, into the stars that would one day forge heavier elements, into the carbon, oxygen, and iron in your blood. The suspense is profound, for when you look at the night sky, you are seeing the result of those ancient ripples. The constellations, the Milky Way, even the sun that warms you each morning, they all trace their origins to the faint whispers of the first light, to the tiny imperfections that became everything. And yet, the Big Bang remains an enigma. What caused it? What existed before it? Some theories suggest a cycle, that our universe is one of many, expanding and contracting like the tide. Others imagine a multiverse, infinite bubbles of reality, each with its own laws. Perhaps ours is just one spark among countless fires. Or perhaps the beginning is beyond human comprehension, forever hidden behind a veil of timelessness. But do not let the mystery trouble you. Instead, let it soothe you. For the same way the universe unfolded without hurry, your mind, too, can expand in peace. You do not need to solve it tonight. To drift gently on the current of possibility. And in that wonder lies a poetic truth. The first light is not only the memory of the cosmos. It is also a mirror. It reminds us that from chaos comes beauty. From mystery comes meaning. From silence comes song. Just as the universe began with expansion, so too do we grow. Each breath you take is its own small Big Bang, a beginning, an unfolding, a quiet miracle of creation. So, as you rest tonight, let yourself imagine you are bathed in that first light. Imagine it surrounding you, a gentle glow that carries no heat, only comfort, a light older than stars, older than galaxies, older than time itself as we know it. This light does not ask you to chase it. It only invites you to rest within it, to feel its quiet presence, to surrender your racing thoughts to its endless calm. And as you drift deeper into that calm, let your mind wonder what lies beyond beginnings. For the story does not end with the first light from those simple atoms. From that expanding universe, stars will soon ignite. The night sky will find its voice, and the cosmos will take its next breath. A chapter of fire and brilliance waiting just ahead. Have you ever wondered how the first stars came to life? Those luminous giants that pierced the ancient darkness. The universe began in silence and shadow, but it could not remain so forever. From the quiet fog of hydrogen and helium, something extraordinary was waiting to awaken. For in the stillness of that newborn cosmos, gravity was patiently gathering, pulling, weaving, preparing to ignite the very first fires. Close your eyes and picture it. Imagine a vast ocean of invisible gas, stretching across endless distances. No suns, no planets, no glowing galaxies, only the silent drifting of atoms. Yet, within that drifting, subtle ripples remained, tiny variations left behind by the first light. These ripples became seeds. Gravity tugged ever so gently, pulling atoms closer together, and in that pulling, the first clouds of matter began to form. The suspense lies here in the waiting. For millions of years, these clouds grew denser, heavier, folding into themselves. The pressure mounted silently, unseen, until finally, deep in their cores, something miraculous happened. Nuclear fusion, a spark, then a blaze, then a roar of brilliance. The first stars had ignited, and with them, the universe was forever changed. Picture those first stars, enormous, far larger than the sun you know today. They burned with ferocious intensity, shining blue and white. Their light cut through the cosmic fog, transforming the universe from darkness into radiance. These were the pioneers of creation, the ancestors of every star that followed. They lived short, spectacular lives, consuming their fuel in mere millions of years. But in their fiery hearts, they forged new elements. They created carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, the essential ingredients for life. And when they died in glory, exploding as supernova, scattering their gifts across the cosmos. Imagine the suspense of that first explosion, the silence of the universe shattered by a brilliance unlike anything before. A single star collapsing under its own weight, rebounding in fury, casting heavy elements into the void. Each supernova was both an ending and a beginning. For from its ashes, new clouds of gas formed, enriched with the seeds of future worlds. From these beginnings, the first galaxies emerged. At first, they were small, irregular gatherings of stars, like clusters of fireflies huddled together in the dark. But gravity, ever patient, ever pulling, drew them into larger structures. These galaxies swirled into shapes, spirals and ellipses, graceful and vast. The cosmic web began to take form. filaments stretching like threads of light, connecting one cluster to another. Did you know that the Milky Way itself was born from this long process? Our galaxy carries within it. It is not a single creation, but a tapestry woven from many smaller galaxies, drawn together, united by gravity's pull. When you look up at the stars tonight, you are seeing the continuation of that ancient story. You are gazing into a living history of fire and light. Now imagine drifting closer to one of those first galaxies. You see stars blazing in clusters, nebulae glowing in clouds of color, planets beginning to form in the leftover gas and dust. Around some stars, disks swirl like cosmic potter's wheels, shaping rocky worlds, icy giants, and perhaps even water-bearing moons. The galaxies are alive with creation. A great symphony has begun, and you are floating in its music. The suspense deepens when you realize this. Without those first stars, without their lives and deaths, you would not exist. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, all were born in the heart of stars. You are, in every sense, a child of stardust. The universe wrote its story into you long before you could ever read it. And yet, there is mystery here still. For astronomers wonder, what were those very first stars like? We cannot see them directly, their light too faint and too far. Yet we know their fingerprints remain, written into the chemical signatures of later generations. Perhaps one day, with telescopes reaching further into the deep past, we will glimpse them and witness the first fires ever lit. Until then, they remain hidden, their brilliance echoing only in the silence of history. Reflect for a moment on this poetic truth. Darkness alone cannot last. Inevitably, light finds its way. Even in the coldest reaches of space, gravity gathers, pressure builds, and sparks ignite. What seems empty carries the potential for brilliance. The same is true within you. Within silence lies possibility. Within stillness lies the seed of light. So let yourself rest in that truth as you lie here tonight. You are not separate from those stars. You are their continuation, their echo, their living flame. The stars that first ignited in the young universe still burn within you. Every breath you take carries their story forward. Every heartbeat is a pulse of the cosmos itself. And as the galaxies spread, as the stars multiplied, the stage was being set for something even greater. For among those stars, in the crucible of creation, new worlds were forming, worlds of rock, of gas, of ice, some barren, some fertile, some destined to carry oceans. And perhaps, one day, life, the universe, was no longer silent. It was alive with light, with birth, with the promise of endless futures, and you, drifting deeper into rest, can carry that promise with you, for the cosmos is not rushing, and neither must you. It unfolds slowly, patiently, beautifully, just as you can let go slowly, gently, peacefully tonight. Now breathe deeply and drift with the galaxies, for ahead lies a new mystery, the story of how those first worlds took shape, and how the great diversity of planets, gas giants, rocky earths, and frozen wanderers began to populate the endless sea of stars. Have you ever wondered how worlds are born, not just our Earth, but the countless planets that circle stars across the galaxy? To imagine this story is to step into a cosmic workshop, where dust and gas swirl, where fire and ice collide, and where silence gives way to the architecture of creation. Close your eyes and picture a young star. It glows fiercely, new and unsteady, surrounded by a great swirling disk of material. This disk is made of gas, dust, and fragments, stretching wide, spinning like a cosmic wheel in this vast spinning sea. The raw ingredients of planets are waning, pulled by gravity, nudged by collisions, gathering slowly into form. At first, it seems chaotic. Countless grains of dust collide, some bouncing away, others clinging together. Little by little, they form clusters, clumps, and pebbles. The process is slow, delicate, and yet relentless. Gravity pulls them tighter. Collisions grow more frequent. Soon, these pebbles become boulders. Boulders become mountain-sized bodies, and mountain-sized bodies grow into planetesimals, the first building blocks of worlds. The suspense lies here, for these planetesimals do not exist peacefully. They crash into one another with violent force. Some shatter into fragments, others merge into larger bodies. It is a cosmic dance of destruction and creation. Over millions of years, these battles sculpt entire solar systems, until, finally, planets are born. Imagine drifting among these newborn worlds. Some are fiery, their surfaces oceans of molten rock, glowing red under storms of meteors. Others are icy, frozen, and pale, drifting quietly in the outer reaches of their star's domain. Some worlds are massive, pulling in thick atmospheres of hydrogen and helium, growing into gas giants. Others remain small and rocky, destined perhaps to carry oceans, mountains, and skies. Did you know that in our own solar system, this process created not only Earth, but dozens of fascinating siblings: Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, giants cloaked in gas and storms; Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, rocky, solid, and diverse. Even tiny Pluto and the dwarf planets carry the story of these early days. They are the leftovers of creation, reminders that not every world grew large enough to dominate. The suspense deepens when you realize that every star you see in the night sky may carry its own family of planets. For a long time, we did not know if other worlds existed beyond our own. But now, with the aid of telescopes, we have discovered thousands of exoplanets, worlds that orbit distant suns, some larger than Jupiter, some smaller than Earth, some in places where life might one day thrive. Picture yourself drifting to one of these distant systems. Around a faraway star, you see a world unlike any you have ever imagined. A planet made entirely of water, endless oceans stretching into the horizon. Another, dark and stormy, with winds that rage faster than sound. Still another, scorched so close to its star that its rocks glow, molten, its skies raining vaporized metals. Each world is unique, each one a chapter of cosmic creativity. And yet, even with all this diversity, one truth remains: planets are not accidents. They are the inevitable outcome of cosmic processes. Wherever stars are born, planets follow. The universe does not leave its suns alone. It gives them companions, places where new stories may unfold. Now pause and reflect on this poetic thought. Worlds are not only scattered through space, they are scattered through imagination. To dream of them is to dream of possibility. For every planet that forms carries with it the chance of oceans, the chance of mountains, the chance of life. The seeds of existence are sown across the galaxy, waiting. Did you know that Earth itself was once a fiery ocean of lava? In its earliest days, it was struck by countless asteroids, one so massive it likely tore away a piece of Earth to form the Moon. And yet, from this violence came stability. The Moon steadied Earth's tilt, its rhythm of tides, its balance of seasons. Without that collision, life as we know it may never have flourished here. Even in chaos, creation finds its way. Imagine drifting across the infant Earth. You see volcanoes spewing fire into the sky, seas of molten rock cooling into crust, meteors still streaking across the heavens, delivering water and organic molecules. The world is harsh, but it is preparing for something unimaginable, the emergence of life. And beyond Earth, other planets were writing their own stories. Mars, once warmer, once with rivers and lakes. Saturn's moon Titan, with seas of liquid methane. Europa, an icy world, with an ocean hidden beneath its crust. The universe has scattered the potential for habitability like seeds in a great garden. Some sprout, some lie dormant, some wait for futures we cannot yet see. The suspense of it all is humbling. For if worlds are so common, if galaxies are filled with them, then perhaps life too is not unique. Perhaps the story unfolding here on Earth has counterparts, waiting quietly beneath alien skies we do not yet know. But the possibility sings in the silence, and it keeps us looking up, searching, wondering, and as you rest tonight, let that thought comfort you. You are not a stranger in the universe. You are part of a vast family of worlds, each one born from the same cosmic process, each one connected by gravity, light, and time. The same forces that shaped distant planets shaped the Earth beneath you. The same dance of collisions and creation that forged the stars also forged your home. So breathe deeply and let go as the planets continue their eternal orbits. You too can find your rhythm, your quiet path. The universe unfolds without rush, and so can you. For tonight, you do not need to chase answers. You need only to rest in the wonder of knowing that worlds beyond worlds exist, that creation is ongoing, and that you are part of it. And as you drift deeper, imagine yourself circling a young star, watching its planets take shape, watching the endless possibilities unfold. For ahead lies another great mystery, not just the making of worlds, but the making of life. A story even more delicate, more suspenseful, more miraculous than any we have yet seen. And that story waits for us in the chapters to come. Have you ever wondered how life began? Not just human life, but life in its simplest, earliest form. A spark that emerged from a lifeless world, transforming rock and water into something that could grow, adapt, and dream. The story of life is among the greatest mysteries of all. And though we walk in its light every day, its beginning still shimmers in shadows. Picture yourself drifting down to a young Earth. The skies are not blue, but hazy with volcanic gases. The seas churn with heat, minerals bubbling up from vents on the ocean floor. Lightning flickers across stormy clouds, striking the surface of a restless planet. There are no trees, no animals, no voices, only rock, water, and air, heavy with possibility. It was in this restless environment that life first stirred. Imagine the suspense, countless molecules drifting and colliding, most separating again, but occasionally, by chance, forming something more stable, something that could repeat itself. Some scientists believe that in the warm shallows of pools, or in the dark vents of the deep sea, chemistry began to imitate biology. Simple molecules combined into complex chains. Chains became spirals. Spirals began to copy themselves. In those fragile patterns lay the first whisper of life. Did you know that the earliest spark of life may have been nothing more than strands of RNA? These simple molecules can both store information and act like tiny machines, guiding chemical reactions. Imagine them forming in pools warmed by the sun, each strand fragile, but some strong enough to survive, to copy, to persist slowly across millions of years. These molecules became more sophisticated until they enclosed themselves in protective bubbles of fat, forming the first primitive cells. Now, close your eyes and imagine those first cells floating in the ancient seas, tiny, almost invisible, yet carrying the potential for everything that would follow. They absorbed energy from sunlight or heat. They divided, they competed, they adapted. With each passing generation, they grew more complex, more resilient. The world, once silent, now carried a new rhythm, the rhythm of life itself. The suspense deepens when we realize how fragile this moment was. Life could have failed. It could have remained only as fleeting chemical sparks. Yet something endured. The cells adapted, strengthened, multiplied. For billions of years, they remained simple, mere bacteria and archaea, and yet, even in their simplicity, they transformed the planet. Did you know that these early organisms invented photosynthesis? Harnessing sunlight, they began to release oxygen as waste. At first, oxygen was poison to many of them. Yet, over time, this waste filled the atmosphere, transforming Earth forever. The skies turned blue, the seas rich with oxygen, paving the way for new and more complex life. Now imagine drifting through those ancient oceans. You see stromatolites, layered colonies of microbes, rising like stone towers from the shallows. They are not plants, not animals, yet they breathe and grow. They are Earth's first great engineers, shaping the atmosphere, laying the foundation for everything to come. If you listen closely, you can almost hear their slow, patient work. And then, after billions of years of seeming sameness, something extraordinary happened. Cells began to join forces. Instead of living alone, some cells formed communities. They merged, one cell living inside another, helping one another. This partnership gave rise to mitochondria, tiny powerhouses within cells, fueling energy in new and efficient ways. From this union, complex cells were born, the kind that make up plants, animals, and you. Imagine the suspense of that leap. From single cells to complex organisms, from simplicity to cooperation. It was as if the universe had been rehearsing for billions of years, only to unveil a new act on the stage of creation. And with that leap, life began to diversify, to experiment, to branch into endless forms. Reflect on this truth for a moment. The story of life is not one of sudden miracles, but of patient persistence, chemistry becoming biology, simplicity becoming complexity, chaos giving rise to order. The same patience that carved galaxies also carved cells. The same persistence that spread stars across the heavens also spread life across the seas. And yet, suspense lingers, for even with all our science, we do not know exactly how life began. Was it in shallow pools warmed by lightning? Was it in deep-sea vents with their mineral-rich waters? Was it delivered from space itself on comets carrying organic molecules? Perhaps life is not a rare accident, but a natural outcome, waiting to appear wherever the right conditions are found. Let that thought comfort you. For if life can emerge from the chemistry of a single world, perhaps it can also bloom elsewhere. Perhaps the universe is filled with hidden gardens, waiting quietly under alien skies. Perhaps the story unfolding here on Earth is only one verse in a much larger song. Now breathe deeply and picture yourself floating in those ancient seas. You are surrounded by life's earliest forms, fragile yet determined. You can feel the quiet persistence, the endless repetition, the patient rhythm of survival. This rhythm is still within you. Every cell in your body carries echoes of those first cells. Every breath you take is linked to that ancient invention of oxygen. You are not separate from the origins of life. You are its continuation, its living chapter. And as you drift deeper into rest, reflect on this poetic truth. Life began not in perfection, but in trial and error, in patience, in persistence, in the quiet dance of molecules. It found a way to endure, and so too can you. In your stillness, in your rest, you carry that same resilience, that same patience, that same spark that first lit the oceans of Earth. The story does not end here, for once life began, it would not stop, it would evolve, adapt, diversify. It would rise from the seas, crawl onto land, reach for the skies, and dream of the stars. And that story of evolution, of transformation, is what awaits us next. Have you ever wondered how the simple became complex? How the first tiny cells in the oceans eventually gave rise to forests, mountains filled with songbirds, and human beings capable of gazing at the stars? It is one of the greatest mysteries and triumphs of the universe. The story of evolution. Picture yourself drifting gently through time. The earth beneath you shifts and breathes. Millions of years pass in the blink of an eye. Oceans shimmer, continents drift apart, mountains rise and crumble again. Within these constant changes, life adapts. Every shift in the planet's rhythm is answered by a new twist in the story of biology. In the beginning, life remained hidden in the sea. For nearly 3 billion years, Earth was a world of microbes. But then, slowly, complexity took hold. Complex cells formed alliances. They learned to cooperate, some turning into plants, capturing sunlight, others turning into animals, feeding on energy stored by their neighbors. It was a fragile balance, and yet it was the spark of ecosystem. Imagine drifting beneath an ancient ocean. You see jelly-like creatures drifting in the currents, soft-bodied, alien in appearance. Their shapes are simple, yet they represent a new step. Multicellular organisms, hundreds of cells working together, each with a purpose, each contributing to the whole. It is the first glimpse of bodies forming from cooperation. Then, something extraordinary, a burst of creativity, known as the Cambrian explosion. Around 540 million years ago, life suddenly diversified. Within a short geological moment, countless new forms appeared: worms wriggling in the mud, armored trilobites crawling across the seafloor, spiny creatures with eyes, jaws, and limbs. The oceans transformed into bustling arenas of survival, of predator and prey. Did you know that many of the body plans we see today, creatures with heads, eyes, and spines, emerged during this explosion? The blueprints of life as we know it were written in those seas, and they endure even now. From the fish darting in coral reefs to the birds gliding through skies, all trace their ancestry back to that incredible era. Suspense builds as you imagine what came next. From the oceans, brave pioneers began to explore the land. Plants crept ashore first, mossy and small, clinging to damp ground, their roots digging into rock, breaking it down into soil. They breathed in carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen, transforming the air, paving the way for animals to follow. Now close your eyes and picture the first creatures leaving the sea. Fish with strong fins pulling themselves across the mud, gasping for air. Their movements awkward, yet determined. They would evolve into amphibians, living both in water and on land. Their descendants would one day roam forests, soar through skies, and build civilizations. The forests thickened, towering ferns and trees rising high. Insects the size of hawks filled the air, their wings buzzing like a chorus. Gigantic dragonflies soared above swamps. While amphibians lurked below, evolution was experimenting wildly, trying new designs, keeping what worked, discarding what did not. And then came the reptiles. With tougher skin and protective eggs, they could venture farther from water. Their strength and resilience opened new frontiers. Some grew enormous, becoming dinosaurs that ruled for over 150 million years. Imagine the suspense of such a world. Thunderous footsteps shaking the earth, vast shadows passing over plains. Entire ecosystems built around these colossal beings. Yet evolution is not a straight line. It is full of twists, turns, and surprises. One of the greatest surprises came in the form of catastrophe. Around 66 million years ago, a meteor struck Earth. Clouds of dust filled the skies. Sunlight dimmed, plants withered, and the age of dinosaurs ended in that loss. However, new possibilities emerged. The small mammals, once hiding in shadows, now flourished. From those mammals came primates. From primates came beings that could walk upright, that could shape tools, that could speak, that could dream. It was not destiny, but adaptation, chance, and persistence. The same persistence that guided molecules into cells, cells into creatures, creatures into civilizations. Reflect on this poetic truth. Evolution is not a ladder, but a branching tree. Each life form is not higher or lower, but connected. Each branch represents an experiment, a possibility, a story. And you, as you lie here in stillness, are part of that story. Your hands, your breath, your eyes, all carry the history of that long, unfolding journey. Did you know that within your DNA, hidden in every cell, are ancient codes passed down across billions of years, sequences that once served jellyfish, trilobites, reptiles, and mammals? You are not separate from them, but a continuation, a living museum of evolution. Each heartbeat is an echo of life's oldest rhythm, each breath a whisper from ancestors who first learned to breathe. Now imagine yourself standing at the edge of a forest. The trees sway gently, the air hums with insects, and birds sing above. Every sound, every color, every breath of wind is a direct descendant of that long evolutionary story. Life shaped by chance, but also by resilience, by the will to adapt. And as you reflect, let the suspense carry you further. Evolution is still unfolding. The story is not finished. You are part of it. Humanity itself is a branch on that great tree, one that may reach toward the stars, one that may shape new worlds. Just as life once shaped this one, breathe deeply now. Let yourself sink into the comfort of this truth. You are not small, you are vast. You are part of an unbroken chain stretching back to the first spark of life, forward into futures yet unwritten. And as your eyes grow heavier, as rest pulls you deeper, remember, evolution is not just the story of the past. It is the story of now, of tomorrow, of forever. The tree of life is still growing, still branching, still reaching, and you are a leaf upon it, shimmering quietly in the great cosmic breeze. Have you ever wondered when the first thought appeared, the first spark of awareness, not just survival or instinct, but the quiet voice inside, a mind whispering, "I am"? It is one of the deepest mysteries of existence. When did matter awaken? When did biology begin to dream? Picture yourself standing on the plains of ancient Africa. The air is warm, grasses sway in the wind, and early humans move silently through the landscape. They are not yet us, but they are close. Their eyes scan the horizon with intelligence. Their hands shape tools from stone. Their voices murmur with the beginnings of language. In their minds flickers a new light, the light of consciousness. This light did not appear all at once. It grew slowly, shaped by survival. Early primates lived in groups, their safety and success depending on communication. They learned to remember, to predict, to imagine dangers before they came. Over time, their brains grew more complex, folds deepening, connections multiplying. The stage was set for something extraordinary. Imagine the suspense of those first moments when thought became reflection. When an ancestor looked at the stars, not just as lights, but as mysteries. When the cry of an animal was not only sound, but symbol, carrying meaning. When fire was not only warmth, but story. Something subtle had changed. A mirror had turned inward, and the universe had become aware of itself. Did you know that the human brain has more connections than there are stars in our galaxy? Billions of neurons, each firing in patterns, forming the web of memory, perception, and imagination. Within this web lies the greatest enigma, how matter, silent and blind, became mind, awake. Now close your eyes and picture an early human gathered by a fire. Flames dance against the night, shadows flicker on cave walls. For the first time, stories are told. Perhaps of the hunt, perhaps of spirits and skies. In the flickering firelight, imagination awakens. These stories are not written, but carried in memory, passed from parent to child. They are the first dreams spoken aloud. The suspense deepens when we consider sleep, for long before civilization, humans slept beneath the stars, and in their dreams, they encountered visions they could not explain, shapes and voices, journeys and fears. Perhaps they believed these dreams to be messages from gods, or visits to hidden realms. Dreams became part of culture, woven into myths, guiding choices, shaping rituals. Reflect for a moment. Dreams are the bridge between biology and imagination. They are fragments of memory stitched into patterns. They are the brain's way of processing. Yet they feel like journeys, like voyages into other worlds. In dreams, the mind rehearses survival, explores possibility, and sometimes glimpses truths it cannot yet understand. Did you know that some of humanity's greatest ideas came in dreams? The scientist Kekule saw the structure of the benzene ring in a dream of a snake eating its own tail. The inventor Elias Howe dreamed of spears that pierced cloth, inspiring the sewing machine. Even great works of music and art have emerged from dreamscapes. It is as though the unconscious whispers gifts while we sleep. Now imagine the slow unfolding of human culture, caves painted with animals, not just as decoration, but as visions of meaning, perhaps drawn after dreams, perhaps to summon success in hunts. The symbols on the walls are not only art, they are consciousness leaving a mark on the world. They are proof that imagination has stepped beyond the mind, shaping reality. Suspense lingers here. For what exactly is consciousness? Scientists can map the brain, measure activity, trace patterns of neurons. Yet the essence of awareness, the feeling of being, remains elusive. How does the firing of cells give rise to thought? How does a web of matter give birth to the poetry of dreams? Poets, philosophers, and mystics have long asked the same question. Is consciousness a flicker of the brain, or is the brain a receiver of something greater? Some traditions speak of mind as a river that flows beyond the body. Others suggest that awareness is woven into the very fabric of the universe. Perhaps your consciousness is not only yours, but part of something infinite. Breathe deeply now, and imagine your own awareness as a vast sky. Thoughts drift across like clouds, memories shimmer like stars. Yet, the silent witness that observes without effort. This stillness is what ancient humans may have touched when they first gazed into firelight or closed their eyes in sleep. It is the quiet root of all experience. Reflect on this poetic truth. Consciousness is the universe awakening to itself. The atoms that once burned in stars now form the thoughts that wonder about stars. The molecules that once swirled in oceans now form the dreams that imagine oceans on distant planets. You are both the question and the answer, both the mystery and its seeker. As you drift deeper, let yourself rest in that awareness. You need not solve it. You need not explain it. Just feel it, like a warm current carrying you gently. Your awareness is here, present, yet also vast, infinite, timeless. And remember this, the first dreamers sat beneath the same stars you see today. They too wondered. They too closed their eyes and drifted into the unknown. In that way, you are connected across time. Through every ancestor, every story, every dreamer, you carry the torch of consciousness forward. And so the story continues. From the dawn of awareness, humanity would rise, shaping language, building civilizations, reaching for the skies, and one day sending machines beyond the stars. The journey of the mind is only beginning, and it is to that journey, the rise of knowledge, art, and exploration, that we will drift next. Have you ever wondered what the very first cities sounded like at night? When the fires burned low, when voices quieted, when the stars stretched endlessly above. Did people in those times dream as you dream? Did they feel the same pull when they gazed at the heavens? That same sense of awe, that same mystery pressing at the edges of thought. Picture yourself standing on the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates thousands of years ago. Villages have grown into towns, towns into cities. Farmers have shaped the rivers with canals. Markets hum with trade, and above it all, ziggurats rise, step-like towers reaching toward. These were not just buildings, they were ladders for the soul, places where earth touched heaven. In these early civilizations, Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, China, humanity began to organize not only fields and walls, but time itself. Farmers needed to know when to plant. Sailors needed to know when to voyage. Priests needed to know when to honor their gods, and so they turned to the stars. Imagine the suspense of those first men and women lying on rooftops, watching the heavens night after night. They saw patterns. Orion, with his belt of stars, the Pleiades, a tiny cluster shining like jewels. They noticed that the moon waxed and waned in a steady rhythm. They saw that certain stars rose in different seasons, marking floods, harvests, and journeys. Slowly, the sky became a calendar. Did you know that the earliest written records from Mesopotamia are not stories, but astronomical observations, clay tablets marked with rising stars, eclipses, and planetary motions? These people were not simply gazing in wonder. They were measuring, predicting, recording. They were among the first scientists, though they spoke in the language of myth and gods. Now close your eyes and picture Egypt, the Nile flowing calmly, pyramids rising against the horizon. The Egyptians aligned their great monuments with the stars. The Great Pyramid itself is thought to echo Orion. The Temple of Karnak was aligned to the solstice. For them, the stars were not distant suns, but divine beings guiding the destiny of pharaohs. And in the Indus Valley, the same story unfolded in silence. Scholars believe they too tracked the stars, aligning cities with constellations, marking seasons by the sky. In China, early records speak of comets, eclipses, and celestial omens. The emperor was seen as a bridge between heaven and earth. And so watching the skies was not only science, but survival. The suspense deepens when we consider what they felt. Imagine lying in the silence of an ancient night, with no light pollution, no machines, only the stars blazing in uncountable numbers. The Milky Way stretching like a river of fire across the sky. The universe seemed alive, filled with meaning, each light a message, each pattern a story. Did you know that almost every ancient culture invented constellations? And though their names and myths were different, many saw similar shapes: a hunter, a bull, a scorpion. Perhaps this is not coincidence, but the human mind seeking patterns, weaving order into the infinite. Stories gave shape to the stars, and in return, the stars gave shape to stories. Now imagine standing at Stonehenge, its great stones towering above the fields. It was not just a monument, but a clock, aligned with the solstices, marking the longest and shortest days. When the sun rose between the stones, it was a signal of cosmic rhythm, a reminder that life on Earth was bound to the heavens. The suspense builds further, for the stars were not only guides of time, they were believed to guide destiny. Astrology was born from astronomy. Priests and kings believed that the heavens whispered secrets, that the position of planets could foretell wars, floods, or blessings. The boundary between science and myth was thin, woven together like threads in a tapestry. Reflect for a moment. The stars above you tonight are the same stars that guided farmers in Mesopotamia, the same constellations that priests in Egypt whispered prayers to, the same lights that sailors in Polynesia used to navigate the vast oceans. When you look up, you are not only looking outward, but backward in time. You are sharing the gaze of every ancestor who ever wondered. Breathe slowly and imagine the poetic truth. Civilization itself was shaped by sleep and the stars. When night fell, the day's labors ended, and people turned their eyes upward. In the stillness of darkness, imagination flourished. Myths were born, calendars created, knowledge preserved. Night was both a time for dreams and a time for discovery. Did you know that some ancient astronomers could predict eclipses with remarkable precision? Even thousands of years ago, they watched the moon's shadow crossing the sun. They saw the patterns repeat. They wrote them down, passing knowledge across generations. In those moments, the heavens felt less like chaos and more like a clockwork, vast and orderly, and yet mystery always remained. A comet streaking across the night sky might be seen as a dragon, or a messenger, or a warning. Lightning flashing against the stars might be read as the anger of gods. The cosmos was never silent to them. It was a living script written above, waiting to be interpreted. Reflect on this. Civilization's first great libraries were not of books, but of stars. The sky was humanity's original text. Each culture writing its interpretations, each myth a translation, each ritual a reminder that we are bound to something larger. Now, as you drift deeper into stillness, imagine yourself as one of those ancient sky watchers. You lie on cool stone, looking upward. The stars burn with a clarity you have never seen before. They feel close, almost within reach. You trace patterns with your finger, whisper their names. You do not know yet that they are suns, or that planets orbit them, but you feel their power, their pull. You sense that they are part of you, and you of them. And in that connection lies the poetic comfort. You are not separate from the story of civilization. You are a continuation, just as they once gazed and wondered. So to do you, just as they dreamed by firelight, so too do you dream beneath electric light. Consciousness threads through time, binding you to every ancestor who lifted their eyes to the heavens. The story does not end here, for once civilizations rose. They built not only temples and calendars, but questions, deeper questions. What is the universe? Where did we come from? Are the gods among the stars, or are we alone? And it is to these questions, the great philosophies and sciences of the ancient world, that we will gently drift next. Have you ever wondered, when humanity first began to ask, not just what is happening above me, but why does it matter? The stars had already guided crops, voyages, and calendars, but soon they became mirrors, for something deeper. They became symbols of meaning, of destiny, of the eternal questions that echo even now. Picture yourself walking the stone streets of ancient Greece. White marble columns rise around you, torches flicker in the evening air, and beyond them the constellations shimmer above the Aegean Sea. Here, thinkers begin to step away from myth, asking instead hidden laws, patterns that can be discovered. The suspense grows, for in this moment, myth begins to shift into philosophy. In Mesopotamia and Egypt, the stars had been gods, but in Greece, thinkers like Thales, Anaximander, and Pythagoras wondered if the cosmos could be explained by principles, not personalities. They spoke of elements, earth, air, fire, water, as building blocks of all things. They imagined the cosmos as a harmony, a music of spheres, invisible yet real. Did you know that Pythagoras believed the planets moved in orbits that created music, each celestial body singing a note, together forming a cosmic symphony? Though we cannot hear it, the idea still inspires. Modern science finds rhythm in orbits, resonance in gravity, harmony in mathematics. Perhaps the ancient dream was not so far from the truth. Now close your eyes and travel east. Imagine yourself in India, thousands of years ago, where sages sit beneath banyan trees, meditating on the nature of reality. They speak of Brahman, the eternal essence that underlies all existence, and Atman, the inner self that is not separate from it. The stars above are not distant objects, but reflections of a deeper unity in this philosophy. The cosmos is not only out there, it is within. In China, the same questions were whispered beneath ancient skies. The Taoists spoke of the Tao, the way of nature, the unseen flow that shapes everything. To follow the Tao was to live in harmony with the universe. The heavens above were patterns, yin and yang, balance and motion, a cosmic dance of opposites, shaping day and night, life and death, order and chaos. The suspense grows as you realize these questions were asked across the world. In Egypt, philosophers wondered about Mat, the cosmic order, the principle of truth and balance. Without Mat, the universe would fall into chaos. The pharaoh was seen as guardian of that balance, a living bridge between earth and stars. Reflect for a moment. The stars above were no longer only lights. They had become symbols of justice, balance, truth. They were guides, not only for farmers and sailors, but for philosophers, rulers, and seekers of meaning. Did you know that Plato believed the soul itself was immortal, shaped by the same eternal patterns as the stars? In his Timaeus, he described the cosmos as a living being, with a soul of its own. Imagine the suspense of that thought, that the universe itself is alive, breathing, dreaming, and you are part of its body. Aristotle, his student, imagined a universe of spheres, each carrying stars and planets, all moving in perfect circles. To him, the heavens were unchanging, pure, eternal, unlike the imperfect earth. Though his view would later be challenged, it gave humanity its first structured model of the cosmos, a system of order in a seemingly infinite expanse. Now picture yourself walking the streets of Alexandria. The great library rises before you, scrolls and tablets holding the wisdom of countless cultures. Here, astronomers like Ptolemy recorded the motions of planets. Philosophers debated the nature of the soul. Mathematicians sought patterns in stars. The city itself became a meeting place of knowledge. East and West, science and philosophy, myth and reason. Suspense lingers when we consider how fragile this knowledge was. Fires would one day consume parts of the library. Empires would rise and fall. And yet the questions endured. What is the universe? What is our place within it? Are we fleeting sparks or eternal souls? Breathe slowly and reflect on this poetic truth. The cosmos is both mirror and mystery. When ancient philosophers gazed at the stars, they were not only seeking patterns, they were seeking themselves. Every question about the heavens was also a question about the heart. Every theory of the universe was also a reflection of what it means to be human. Did you know that in almost every ancient philosophy, sleep and dreams held a sacred place? To the Greeks, dreams were messages from the gods. To the Indians, they were glimpses of deeper realities. To the Chinese, they were journeys of the spirit in sleep. The line between cosmos and self grew thin. Dreams were seen as windows into truths the waking mind could not grasp. And so, humanity dreamed together. Civilizations rose and asked the same questions, in different tongues, with different symbols. Yet beneath them all was the same suspenseful wonder, the same desire to understand why there is something rather than nothing, why the stars shine, why we exist. Now imagine yourself lying beneath a vast night sky. The air is cool, the earth beneath you solid. The constellations wheel slowly overhead. You are not in one place, but in all places: Greece, India, Egypt, China, listening to voices that echo across centuries. They whisper of unity, of balance, of eternity, of truth. Their words are different, yet their longing is the same. Let this comfort you. You are not alone in your questions. You are part of a lineage of seekers, stretching back thousands of years. Every time you look up and wonder, you join their company. Every time you drift into dreams, you walk in their footsteps. And as your breath slows, as sleep begins to gather at the edges of thought, remember this: the stars are not only suns and fire. They are symbols, mirrors, teachers. They hold both science and poetry, both laws and mysteries. They invite you to rest in the tension between knowing and not knowing, between question and answer. The story does not end here, for from these philosophies would rise new sciences. The ancient questions would lead to telescopes, experiments, and revolutions. The suspense will only deepen as humanity's gaze sharpens, and the stars reveal themselves not as gods or symbols, but as worlds of their own. And it is to that next unfolding, the dawn of scientific astronomy, that we will gently drift next. Have you ever wondered what it must have felt like to be the very first person who lifted a telescope to the sky? The stars had been watched for thousands of years, measured, mapped, even worshipped, but never truly seen up close. Imagine the suspense of that moment, when what had once been pinpricks of mystery suddenly revealed hidden worlds. Picture yourself in Renaissance Italy, cobblestone streets beneath your feet, lanterns glowing in warm yellow light. The printing press has spread knowledge like never before. Art and science intertwine, and whispers of discovery drift through the air. You walk quietly, the sound of the sea not far, and ahead stands a man named Galileo, cradling a curious tube of glass and brass. His hands tremble slightly, not with fear, but with anticipation. Before Galileo, before telescopes, there were brave voices who dared to question. Nicolaus Copernicus, a quiet canon in Poland, who sat with parchment and ink and dared to write that the Earth was not the center of the universe, but only one planet among others, circling the sun. His book, De Revolutionibus, whispered of a heliocentric cosmos, a shocking idea, so radical that it lay almost hidden, waiting for the right eyes. Did you know that Copernicus delayed publishing his work until near the end of his life? He feared the reaction. He feared that the universe, once seen as a divinely ordered sphere with Earth at the center, would appear too vast, too strange, if the sun held the throne instead. Yet his courage planted a seed. Now imagine Galileo lifting his telescope in 1609. He points it to the moon, expecting to see a smooth, perfect orb. Instead, his eyes widen, his breath catches. For there are mountains, valleys, shadows, scars. The moon is not flawless, but a world, rugged and real. A place like Earth, touched by imperfection. Then he turns his lens to Jupiter, and there, like diamonds, strung in a line, are moons circling it. Io, Europa, Ganymede. Tiny worlds dancing around a giant. The suspense deepens, for if Jupiter has moons, then not everything circles Earth. The old order begins to tremble. Close your eyes and imagine Galileo at his desk, by candlelight sketching what he sees. His ink stains the paper. His heart pounds. He knows what this means. The cosmos is no longer what Aristotle and Ptolemy said it was. The universe is more vast, more strange, more alive with movement than anyone dared believe. But Galileo was not alone. Across Europe, minds turned upward. Johannes Kepler, in Germany, patiently calculated the motions of Mars. He discovered that planets did not move in perfect circles, but ellipses, stretched orbits, with the sun at one focus. This was shocking. For centuries, circles had been seen as the divine shape, perfect and eternal. But Kepler found the truth lay in ellipses, a gentler, stranger kind of perfection. Did you know Kepler also believed he was uncovering a cosmic harmony? He wrote of celestial music, planets humming in their paths, an echo of Pythagoras' old dream. He was both scientist and mystic, mathematician and poet. And in his work we feel that blend of reason and wonder. And then came Isaac Newton, quiet in thought beneath an apple tree, not struck by fruit, as the legend says, but struck by an idea. What if the same force that pulls the apple downward also holds the moon in orbit? What if gravity is the thread that binds all things, from falling leaves to planets in motion, with equations and logic? He drew invisible lines across the cosmos. He showed that the universe could be described not only by myth or philosophy, but by laws, laws that worked everywhere, always. Imagine the suspense of that realization. The universe had rules, elegant, mathematical, unbreakable, and they could be known. Humanity had stepped into a new age, not by abandoning wonder, but by giving wonder new wings. Let us pause for a reflection. The telescope was more than glass and metal. It was a portal, a key. It opened the skies, not just to astronomers, but to humanity itself. Before, the stars were eternal lights beyond reach. After, They were places, worlds, moons, mountains, shadows. The cosmos became tangible. It was no longer only a dream, but a reality we could touch with our eyes. Did you know that Galileo's discoveries nearly cost him everything? His support of heliocentrism clashed with powerful authorities. He was tried, silenced, forced to recant. Yet, even as he whispered that the earth did not move, he was heard to murmur, and yet it moves. Suspense lingers in that moment, the tension between truth and fear, between vision and power, between silence and the eternal voice of the stars. Now breathe slowly, and imagine yourself lying beneath a Renaissance sky, the air cool, the stars bright. But different now, for you know what Galileo knew. You know that Earth spins in the great dark, that the moon is scarred, that Jupiter has moons, that planets trace ellipses, that gravity binds the dance. The night sky has changed, not in itself, but in the eyes that see it. Poetically, the telescope reminds us of something deeper. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from seeking new worlds, but from learning to see the familiar in new ways. The moon had always been there, but hidden in its brightness were valleys and peaks. Jupiter had always shone, but only with a lens did it reveal companions. Truth was never absent, only waiting to be revealed by the right gaze. And so the journey continues, the suspense only grows. For the telescope is only the beginning. Soon it will reveal Saturn's rings, nebulae, clusters, galaxies beyond imagination, each discovery widening the universe, and with it, our sense of both smallness and belonging. Now drift deeper, feeling the comfort of this truth. The universe is vast, yes, but also ordered, governed by laws that can be known. You are a part of this same order, bound by the same gravity, warmed by the same sun, cradled by the same cosmic rhythms. And as you breathe, as sleep begins to wrap around you like a blanket, remember Galileo looking through his telescope, eyes filled with wonder, heart filled with suspense, whispering into eternity that the earth moves. The stars still shine with that same truth, waiting for your eyes, your dreams, your imagination, and gently now, let us prepare to drift into the next unfolding. 4 telescopes will grow larger, clearer, more powerful. They will show us not only our solar system, but galaxies beyond. They will reveal nebulae, the birthplaces of stars. And so, in Module 15, we will journey to the vast star nurseries of the universe, where creation itself glows in clouds of gas and dust. Have you ever wondered where stars are born? When you look up at the night sky, you see them shining, steady and eternal. But stars, like us, have beginnings. They are not fixed forever. They are children of the cosmos, born from clouds so vast that even our imagination strains to contain them. Picture yourself floating in the dark, surrounded by silence. Ahead of you hangs a great luminous cloud, stretching across space like a veil of silk, glowing in soft pinks, purples, and blues. This is a nebula, a vast nursery where stars are forming. It looks delicate, like smoke in the air, but within it are forces so immense they can ignite suns. The suspense of nebulae lies in their dual nature. They appear serene, almost gentle, yet within them rages a slow but unstoppable process. Gravity pulls scattered atoms together, clumping, collapsing, squeezing, until, deep within the cloud, temperatures rise to millions of degrees. And then, a spark, fusion, begins. Hydrogen turns to helium. Light bursts forth. A star is born. Did you know that one of the most famous star nurseries is the Orion Nebula? Visible even to the naked eye from Earth, hanging below Orion's belt. It glows faintly, but through telescopes, it reveals itself as a storm of creation, hundreds of young stars, still wrapped in their dusty cocoons, flicker like candles just lit. The suspense of this scene is breathtaking, for within that cloud are potential solar systems, places that might one day carry oceans, mountains, perhaps even life. Imagine drifting deeper into such a nebula. The dust swirls around you, lit from within by newborn stars. The glow is not from fire, but from radiation, from energy released in the very act of birth. Each wisp of cloud contains mysteries. Every corner might conceal a forming world. There are many kinds of nebulae, each with its own character. Some are emission nebulae, glowing from the light of hot young stars. Others are reflection nebulae, shimmering blue as they scatter starlight. Some are dark nebulae, shadowy shapes that blot out the stars behind them. They look empty, but in truth, they are the richest of all, filled with dense clouds where stars are forming unseen. Did you know that even our sun was born in such a place? About 4.6 billion years ago, it emerged from a collapsing cloud of gas and dust. The leftovers of that cloud formed the planets, including Earth. That means every tree, every ocean, every breath you take is part of a story that began in a nebula. Suspense lingers here, for it suggests that all life is not only connected, but cosmic in origin. Now reflect for a moment. Nebulae remind us that creation is not fast, but patient. A single star may take millions of years to form. Time stretches differently here. And yet, despite this slow dance, the result is radiant. Whole galaxies lit by the birth of stars. Poetically, nebulae are cosmic womb, cradling the possibilities of light and life. They are reminders that even in darkness, beauty and brilliance can be born. Their colors are not merely decoration, but fingerprints of elements. Hydrogen glowing red, oxygen shining green, starlight painting the canvas of space. Let us turn to one of the most breathtaking sights ever captured, the pillars of creation. Towering columns of gas and dust within the Eagle Nebula. Made famous by the Hubble Space Telescope, these pillars look like cathedral spires, immense and awe-inspiring, yet they are fragile, slowly eroded by the radiation of young stars. Suspense hangs in the air, for within their shadows, stars are still forming, even as the pillars themselves crumble. Creation and destruction entwined in a single scene. Imagine yourself drifting through those pillars. Their size dwarfs mountains, yet they move with silence. Within them, stars are glowing, unseen by human eyes. Their light not yet strong enough to break free. But one day, those stars will burst forth, dissolving the very clouds that gave them birth. Did you know that the life cycle of stars begins and ends with nebulae? The same clouds that birth stars are replenished when those stars die, exploding in supernova, scattering heavier elements into space. This recycling means that nebulae are not only nurseries, but also cemeteries. The ashes of old stars, becoming the seeds of new ones. The suspense of this cycle is almost overwhelming, an eternal loop of death and rebirth. Now take a slow breath and picture yourself lying beneath the night sky, knowing that somewhere out there, in the vastness, stars are being born right now. Their light not yet reaching us, their futures unwritten. Somewhere in those clouds might be a sun like ours, around which new planets form, and perhaps, in time, life may rise to look back at the sky and wonder, just as we do. Let this truth comfort you. You are part of that story. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your breath. All were forged in stars, scattered by supernova, gathered again into clouds, reborn in new suns and worlds. Suspense surrounds your very being, for your life is a continuation of that ancient cycle, poetically. To gaze upon a nebula is to gaze upon possibility itself. It is to look into a mirror of beginnings, to see not just what is, but what will be. Nebulae hold futures, billions of them, hidden within their folds. And so, as you drift deeper into rest, let the image of the pillars of creation stay with you. Let the Orion Nebula glow softly in your imagination. Let the knowledge that stars are born in silence, in patience, in hidden clouds, soothe you. The story, of course, continues. 4 stars, once born, live long lives of fire. They grow, change, age, and eventually die. And their deaths, too, are filled with suspense. For they do not simply fade, they explode, collapse, transform, shaking the cosmos with their final breath. And so, in Module 16, we will journey to the cataclysmic ends of stars, the brilliant violence of supernova, and the mysteries they leave behind. Have you ever wondered what happens when a star reaches the end of its life? We see them shining night after night, steady, eternal in appearance. But even stars are not forever. They live long lives, billions of years in some cases. But eventually, their fuel runs out. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. Picture yourself gazing at the night sky. Suddenly, one star seems to brighten, growing more brilliant than all the others. Within days, it outshines entire constellations, casting shadows at night, appearing even in daylight. And then, after weeks or months, it fades, leaving behind silence and mystery. This is no ordinary star. This is a supernova, the explosive death of a massive star. The suspense of a supernova begins long before the explosion. Deep inside the star, fusion has burned through its hydrogen and helium, creating heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron. The star becomes layered, like an onion, each shell fusing a different element. But when it reaches iron, the process halts. Fusion can go no further. The core grows unstable. Gravity presses inward until, in a single catastrophic moment, the star collapses. Did you know that in the instant of collapse, the core falls in on itself with unimaginable force? Atoms are crushed, protons and electrons merge into neutrons, releasing a flood of energy. The outer layers rebound, exploding outward, scattering elements into space. This is the moment of the supernova, a release so powerful it can briefly outshine an entire galaxy. Imagine standing safely at a distance as this unfolds. The shock wave rips through the cosmos. The debris glows in colors of blue, red, gold, and green, each hue a signature of the elements within. The explosion is not chaos, but creation in disguise. For those elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, calcium, are the building blocks of planets, oceans, trees, and even you. Poetically, a supernova is both an ending and a beginning. A star dies, but in its death, it gives life to future worlds. Suspense lingers in this truth, for every breath you take is filled with oxygen, once forged in such a furnace. The iron in your blood was born in the heart of a dying star. The calcium in your bones was scattered by an explosion that lit the sky millions or billions of years ago. Did you know that humans have actually seen supernova with the naked eye? In the year 1054, Chinese astronomers recorded a star that appeared suddenly in the sky, so bright it was visible in daylight for weeks. The remnant of that explosion is the Crab Nebula, still glowing in our telescopes today. In 1604, a supernova observed by Johannes Kepler dazzled Europe, challenging old beliefs about the heavens being unchanging. Each sighting left civilizations in awe and suspense. Now close your eyes and imagine floating near a supernova remnant. A vast cloud of colorful gas and dust expands slowly, its tendrils stretching light years across space. Glowing with energy, within this cloud, new stars will one day form. New planets will gather from the ashes. Suspense grows as you realize you are witnessing the cycle of existence itself. Death feeding life, endings feeding beginnings. But not all supernova leave only glowing clouds. Sometimes the collapsed core becomes something stranger. If the star was massive, it may leave behind a neutron star, so dense that a teaspoon of its matter would weigh billions of tons. Imagine that, a star collapsed into a sphere only a dozen miles wide, yet containing more mass than our sun. And if the star was even larger, the collapse may continue, creating a black hole, a region of space where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. Suspense turns to awe, for here the universe guards its deepest secrets. Reflect for a moment. A supernova is not random, not meaningless. It is part of the great order. It ensures that the universe does not remain static, but evolves, grows, changes. Without supernova, there would be no Earth, no oceans, no forests, no humanity, no art, no music, no questions under the stars. Every supernova that has ever flared is part of your story. Poetically, these cosmic deaths remind us of our own cycles. Just as stars end, so too do seasons, lives, moments. Yet endings are never the final word. They carry within them seeds of what comes next. In the silence after an explosion, in the ashes after fire, in the dusk after day, life waits to return. Did you know that astronomers now detect supernova in distant galaxies almost daily? Telescopes scan the skies, catching these bursts of light across billions of light years, each one a message, a flare of brilliance that left its home galaxy long before humans even existed. Suspense ripples through these discoveries, for we see not only the death of stars, but the history of the universe unfolding before our eyes. Now take a slow breath and imagine lying beneath your own night sky. The stars seem calm, steady, yet somewhere far away. One may be preparing for its final act, its core collapsing. its light soon to blaze across the cosmos. One day, that light may reach Earth, a silent story carried across millions of years, reminding us that even the brightest lights come from endings. Let this thought comfort you, not frighten you. The stars are vast, their timescales beyond human life. No nearby star threatens such a fate soon. But the knowledge that the universe is alive, changing, renewing, can be soothing. You are part of that cycle. Your body itself, a collection of stardust, matter recycled from ancient deaths. The suspense of existence is not in its fragility, but in its continuity. And so, as you drift toward sleep, remember this: the stars above you are both ancestors and companions. Their births and deaths shape your life in ways you cannot see. Their stories are your story. Their brilliance is your inheritance. The journey does not end here, for beyond the supernova, beyond the explosion, lies the most mysterious of all cosmic objects: black holes, regions where time and space twist, where suspense deepens into mystery, where even light cannot escape. In Module 17, we will drift toward these dark giants, exploring the strangest, most suspenseful realms the universe has ever revealed.